Konnichiwa, I'm John Hornick. Welcome to my Japanese Faves series, where we will cover every major type of Japanese food. This lesson is Udon 3, assembling cold and hot udon noodle dishes. In this lesson, I will show you how to assemble hot or cold udon for serving to your guests. In the description, I provide a list of suggested accompanying ingredients for either hot or cold udon. I selected some accompanying ingredients for each dish. Feel free to vary them to your tastes. For cold udon, the noodles are served with a dipping sauce in a separate bowl. Other ingredients, like cold chicken and vegetables, are usually arranged around or on top of the noodles. Hot udon is usually served like a soup, with the noodles, protein, vegetables, and broth all in one bowl. My Udon 1 lesson shows you how to make udon noodles from scratch. My Udon 2 lesson shows you how to make a dipping sauce for cold udon and a broth for hot udon. So let's start cooking. All right, now we want to plate up our mensoyu. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put that into the bowl that's going to be used for dipping. And what we have here is enough really for 4 servings. I'm only serving 2 tonight. And we're going to mix some of the sesame sauce in with the mensoyu to taste. Also depends upon how thick you might want it to be. All right, now let's taste it. Perfect. Okay, now we're going to plate up the other one and then get them ready to serve. Now let's garnish this with a few chopped chives. All right, now here are the toppings that we're going to use tonight with the udon. First we have some smoked pulled chicken, and then we have some cherry tomatoes, yellow and red. We have some Wakame seaweed, some scallions, some nori, toasted nori strips. These are hard-boiled quail eggs. Then we have asparagus, and then shiso leaves. We also have some gomasayo, which is a sprinkle made with sesame seeds. And then we're also going to use some Bonito flakes. Okay, now we're going to plate up. Okay, so we're going to take half of our noodles in one bowl, off to the side, and half in the other bowl. Okay, now we want to add some of the smoked pulled chicken. Now we're going to add the quail eggs. Then the scallion pieces. Then the asparagus. Then the wakame. Then the cherry tomatoes. Nori strips. Shiso leaf. Gomasayo. And finally, just a little sprinkling of Bonito flakes. So that's the conclusion of Zaro Udon. You can see photos of the final dish at my Instagram, which is @ChefsApprentice, Cook Like a Pro. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching. Okay, so now our broth is just coming to a boil. We're going to reduce the heat to low and let it simmer for about 3 minutes. Then we're going to keep it warm until we're almost ready to serve. Just before we are going to serve, we're going to bring this back to piping hot and ladle it into the bowls with the noodles. All right, now here are the accompaniments that I've selected for the hot udon. I selected them from the accompaniments list that's in the description. So we have some shrimp that have been sautéed in salt, sancho pepper, and eskimi togarashi. We have some blistered shishito peppers. I'm going to put them back where they're warm, keeping them warm. We have shiso leaf. We have blanched asparagus, wakame, sliced hard-boiled egg, some bonito flakes, and some scallions. Okay, so it is time to plate up. Next thing we're going to do is bring the broth back to very hot, piping hot, and we're also going to plunge the noodles into the warm water. They were cooked earlier, like we did with the cold udon, and they were shocked under ice water or under running water to stop the cooking. But now we're going to put them back into the warm water to warm them up again before we plate them. All right, now the way we're going to plate though is we're going to have all the accompaniments in the bowl first. We're going to leave an opening in the center for the warm noodles. Then we're going to pour the broth over the top. That will help us to keep the noodles warm and to keep the broth warm. If we did the noodles in the bowl and then the broth and then we added all the other stuff, that would be cooling before we're going to, in the time we're going to get it together before we serve it. So we're going to add asparagus, and we have one asparagus tip here. We're going to put that on top prominently. We're going to have add about half of the wakame. Hard-boiled egg. And now we're going to do the noodles and the broth and finish. Now here we have our water that we use to cook the noodles. It's a little cloudy because it had the noodles that cooked in it. It's just on very low heat. Okay, and over here you can probably also see this is there's the broth that is just starting to boil. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. I want it to be just below boiling. Okay, now we're going to plunge the noodles back into the warm water, and while they are warming, we're going to go and finish plating up. All right, so we're going to add the shishito peppers. We're going to add the shrimp. Okay, now we're going to add our warm noodles right in the center, in the space that we left. Okay, now we're going to add the boiling broth, trying to divide the mushrooms kind of equally. Now there's enough broth here to serve 4. I'm only making for 2 tonight, so I'm going to use maybe more of the broth than I would have if I were dividing it among 4. But there's enough for 4 people. I'm going to try to get all the mushrooms out. Okay, then we want to garnish with shiso leaf, kind of in a spot where you're not seeing the other items. Scallion. And bonito flakes. Okay, that is the conclusion of making, or assembling, I should say, hot udon. You can see photos of the final dish at my Instagram, which is @Chef's Apprentice Cook Like a Pro. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.